Listen, I wasn't even supposed to record today, but there is something big happening with XRP right now, and 99% of people are completely missing this move. It's not the price action, it's not the chart, it's something that is happening every single day, yet nobody's paying attention. And honestly, this might be either the biggest red flag or the biggest opportunity we ever saw in crypto. Because I'm about to show you real proof that XRP supply is just evaporating. And if you think you have years to accumulate, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but you simply don't. And once you see the numbers, the volume, the institutional behavior, you will understand why I dropped everything right now to record this video. Most XRP investors are not holders. They think they are in the game, but as a matter of fact, they are standing outside the stadium asking for a selfie. And I'm gonna show you why 95% of them gets wiped out emotionally before XRP even reaches 2 digits. Because while most people on the internet are paying attention to charts and numbers and technical analysis, something far more important is happening behind the scenes. XRP supply is being eaten alive quietly, predictably, and mathematically. And most people don't even realize the window of opportunity is closing right behind them. Let me show you what nobody's talking about. 4 XRP funds, Bitwise, Franklin Templeton, Grayscale, and Canary Capitals. Those funds just closed the day with $55 million in volume. We are talking about a holiday week when markets are usually dead. Retail is not responsible for this. This is not about hype or speculation. This is programmatic, aggressive institutional accumulation. At this rate, 35 million to 105 million XRP being eaten alive on a daily basis, that means XRP supply won't last for decades. In fact, mathematically speaking, it doesn't even last for many years. At the current ETF demand, it would take about 4.3 years to consume the entire 54.4 billion circulating supply. Have in mind, these are conservative numbers. If all 12 ETFs follow the same pattern, it would take 1.4 years for the entire XRP supply to just vanish. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is exactly what a supply shock means in reality. Wall Street has its eyes on XRP. This is no longer science fiction. This is no longer speculation. Those are the real numbers. However, here comes the part that makes anyone thinking, I will just buy XRP later, very uncomfortable. XRP wallets, one of my favorite on-chain analysts in the entire crypto space, you can follow him on X, just posted new low supply indicators. Here comes the first red flag. Ripple escrow releasing only 700 million XRP rather than the usual 1 billion XRP per month. Larsen's wallet moved about 2.53 billion XRP, and Brito's wallet moved about 1.3 billion XRP. This specific wallet remained untouched for years. This is a clear indicator there is not even enough XRP on the open markets to meet current on-demand liquidity. They are now relying on the founders' wallets. Huge amounts of XRP are now being routed for liquidity pipelines feeding ETF desks. Here comes another interesting observation from XRP wallets himself. Price might need to move above $5 just to obtain the remaining 1.9 billion XRP available for retail investors. Then I look at that ETF statistics again and I had to zoom it twice because I just couldn't believe it. Here comes $54.76 million combined trading volume, Bitwise with 14 million XRP, Franklin Templeton with 12 million XRP, Canary Capital with 11 million XRP, RAX Osprey with 11 million XRP, and finally Grayscale with 5 million XRP. And here is where it absolutely blows my mind. XRP locked in ETF vaults, that's about 329 million XRP. Canary Capital alone is leading the race with over 151 million XRP. Bitwise 77 million XRP, Grayscale 36 million XRP, REX Osprey 32 million XRP, and Franklin Templeton 32 million XRP. And if this is just the beginning, we call it the quiet phase. Imagine when the aggressive one starts. In just 1 week, 0.33% of the entire XRP supply has already been wiped out. Let me say this very clear so YouTube doesn't get upset. Considering I have already been kicked out of X, let me choose my words very carefully. I'm not making price predictions. I'm not guaranteeing any potential returns. This is just educational analysis based on public information. Now, when liquidity decreases and demand increases and ETFs have daily settlement requirements and banks begin integrating real-time rails, things don't rise slowly. They actually begin to rise exponentially. They accelerate in ways that break people emotionally, because at the first stage, most people don't get left behind because they can't afford XRP. They get left behind because they panic. They get left behind because they sell too early, they panic on dips, wait for the perfect pullback, try to time the markets, or they just think they can buy it cheaper. Meanwhile, the door closes right behind them, one candle at a time. We have been saying this for years. We are the 1% of the 1%. Most retail investors won't even accumulate 500 XRP. Most retail investors won't even accumulate 100 XRP. And don't get me wrong, I'm not here to insult anyone. I'm not here pointing fingers at people that don't invest on XRP. I'm just showing you on-chain information available at XRP Rich List. You can track the wallets literally. Most people don't even hold 100 XRP. Most people have no idea how fast that becomes psychologically out of reach. Not because of hype, but because of liquidity mechanisms. When supply shrinks, the psychological entry point rises. And then you start to hear the same story. $5 is too expensive, $10 is too expensive, $100 is too much, it's out of reach. And by the time they decide to take a position, it isn't just too high anymore. It simply becomes inaccessible. Ask the guy who believed Bitcoin was too expensive at $250. Again, no predictions or hype, just logics. ETF demand is through the roof. Ripple has just decreased its escrow output for the first time in years. Founder wallets being tapped for on-demand liquidity purposes. Institutions accumulating large sums of XRP during holiday weeks. Yet, retail investors are still convinced nothing is happening. On-chain analysts already confirmed there is only about 1.95 billion XRP left for retail investors. If this trend continues, exchanges can run out of XRP very quickly. You don't need any technical analysis to come to this conclusion. You just need a clear mind. And if you are watching this video, you are still early. And this is the phase where XRP feels boring. Price moves sideways. People who ignored XRP at 50 cents still make their jokes, and the masses still have no idea of what's happening behind the surface. However, historically, this is exactly where the greatest opportunities always stands. Most people won't even realize the train has left the station. Now, if you made this video to the end, drop a comment, let me know if you are bullish on XRP, and I'm gonna see you in the next video.